I think when I was invited here, I knew how much I would learn. When I looked at the agenda, it was clear to me, not being an engineer, not studying resiliency, how much I would learn. But more importantly, what I looked forward to was being inspired. And I knew I would be with a group of sustainability professionals that are putting their heads and their hearts together to solve some of the world's most complex environmental and social challenges. But what surprised me, as Tom alluded to in the last couple of days, is what I didn't expect was the passion and the intensity around really applying your work. And that's not common. The level of commitment that I've seen here during the last 3 days about creatively figuring out ways to accelerate and scale your work is exceptional. So it's inspired me, I'm energized, and I'm honored to give this final talk. Even in the NBA, they're talking about sustainability. I was watching the game, and they had just beaten the Portland Trail Blazers the night before, 2 nights before, and in the fourth quarter, the Blazers had fallen apart. And as the team came out into the fourth quarter, the announcer says, what Coach Terry Stotts of the Portland Trail Blazers is looking for from his team tonight is sustainability. It's been a really interesting, I'm a psychologist as well, and it's allowed me to reflect on who I am and where I'm from, and bring a lot of religious dialogue. And it made me, there's these big movements. There's the Eco-Jesuit movement, Eco-Kashrut in Judaism, Eco-Islam. I've been quoted in these blogs in the Middle East about ecological worldviews, and that kind of discussion, I think, is the kind of discussion that we need. In my own case, I'm aware that part of my intensity and my seriousness around sustainability is because I come from this kind of long line of Russian Jews culturally. I had some fun talking to Igor Linkov about that yesterday. And I've even become aware, that this is who I am. My parents were pretty serious, secular Jews, but serious about the world. My mother in particular was always talking about global politics, and in sort of a pessimistic way, but a serious way. And I always thought, I wasn't exactly like her. I was more optimistic, and so I went into climate change. And I just thought I'd take the pessimism up a whole new notch. But I'd like to think she'd be proud of me, that she would have gotten a lot of mileage out of climate change, my mom. Really my methodology of doing my own PhD was interviewing about 100 senior executives in companies and asking them simply that question. It really was, I just wanted to know, how did you become who you are? And what I got was all these stories about childhood and about experiences in nature and reflection. And those aren't the typical experiences we have in boardrooms. I do strategy work with corporations. We're not typically having these reflective discussions about who we are and why we're doing what we're doing. So as I close, I want to talk about this experience I had with a gray whale. This is a gray whale in San Ignacio Lagoon in Mexico. And I'm leaning into her, and my hand is on her mouth, and she is looking me in the eye, and I am looking her in the eye, and she is responding to my touch and my voice. And it's a great story because they have created a refuge there, and the gray whales now number more than 25,000 compared to only a few hundred in the Western Pacific. And the amazing thing is that the president of Mexico at the time in 2000, Ernesto Zedillo, had this same experience with his family, close to close, eye to eye with this charismatic megafauna, these gray whales. And there's a lot more to the story with the NRDC and various NGOs, but at the time, Mitsubishi wanted to build a big salt plant. And Zedillo had this experience and put a stake in the ground to protect these whales. And we all know about the oceans here. We all know about indicators. But I think what we don't know enough is how these kind of experiences cause these epiphanies and scale and affect hundreds of millions of people. So I leave you with this image of this gray whale. And, we've had lots of models and maps and theories, and the science you do here is amazing. And that's so important. It's what creating knowledge is all about. But I think what I wonder is, in the end, what will matter even more is the extent that you can tap into your personal superpower and your courage to creatively communicate about sustainability. Thank you.